3183, or you have a question related to anything about land. In terms of getting a title for your land, you have a piece of land and you want to get a title. What should you do? The first thing we ask you to do is to survey the property. And you need to get a commissioned land surveyor. Don't let anybody just come and say, I'm working with a surveyor so I can survey it. No. You need to get the commissioned land surveyor, because a lot of times we use persons who are not commissioned and we run into problems in terms of the survey being properly conducted. And of course, you have to have a commissioned land surveyor sign the documentation in order for you to get that title or for that survey diagram to be valid. So you call the surveyor in, and the surveyor will serve notices on the neighbors. So the surveyor, you can't just tell the surveyor to come and survey my land and he just turns up or she just turns up. No. Notices will have to be served on the persons, and there's a waiting period for the neighbors. And the notices are served so people can object. So you serve a notice on me to say you are surveying your land, but I'm saying, no, that's my grandmother's land. So when the surveyor turns up, I could go to the surveyor and say, I'm objecting to the survey. And if you object to the surveyor should stop the surveying process, and give and prepare what we call an objection letter, okay, a notice of objection. And this notice is served on the parties. And so I'm surveying my property, and you come and say, hey, it's my grandmother land. And I say, no, it's my property. I bought it from your grandmother years ago. Then when I get this notice of objection, I can use it as a basis for going to court, for the court to give an order for the property to be surveyed. Remember, you are listening to Call Out Gospel Radio, and this is a program called Land Matters. Anything land related, any question you have about land ownership, you may give me a call. And we have a question from a listener, N in St. Anne. When buying land, how can one ensure the documents for landowner is legit or valid? Thank you for the question. The first thing is that never buy land without using the services of a lawyer. So get a lawyer when you are buying land. We need to stop this practice in 2025 where everybody is selling land and you just give Mr. Brown's son some money and he gives you a receipt. Because first of all, he could sell that piece of land to 100 persons. So nobody should be buying and selling land unless they have a title for the piece they are selling you. Because the person who is selling has an obligation. It is the right of the person who is selling to give the person who is buying a title. Sometimes we sign agreements where we say, I'm buying the land, and it isn't because they are selling it to you cheaply. Then the agreement might say, you, the buyer, it's your responsibility to get the title. And sometimes you run into problems, because I see persons who have bought land, they come to me for me to get a title for them. And one of the things I'm going to tell you a little later is that when somebody is getting a title and there's no title for the property, or you don't have a title and you're doing an application, you need two persons in the community who have known the land for 30 years and would know that Mr. Black owned the land. When he died, he left it for his son, Peter, and Peter sold it to Mrs. James in 2010, and Mrs. James sold it to you. A lot of times persons come into the office, and when I ask them for this 30-year history, they are saying to me, but I just bought the land, I'm new to the community, I don't know anybody in the community. So the person who is selling should take on that responsibility of applying for title before engaging in selling. So it's for your lawyer to do the due diligence. So when the buyer should have a lawyer and the seller should have a lawyer, and they should be two different lawyers. Too many persons are selling land that is not theirs to sell. Persons will come and say, my grandmother owned the land and I have been living on it all this time, so I'm selling a piece. No, that does not give you the right. Or my mother willed the land to me, so I'm selling it. Your mother willed the land to you. Have you gone and probated the will and got the document transferred to your name? Anybody who is selling land should have proper documentation to show that he or she is the owner. It's not good enough to say my grandmother died and left it, so I'm selling it out. I'm selling a house spot here and a house spot there. A lot of these persons will never get title. And so many persons, even today, I saw where somebody came into my office and they have bought a piece of land and they are asking me to assist them in getting a title. The land they bought is a small piece out of a bigger piece, and there's a title for the bigger piece. And the first thing I did was to look at the conditions on the title. And one condition said the land is not to be subdivided. The land is not to be cut up. In order for you to get that condition clear of the title, it's costing you maybe about $500,000 to modify that covenant. And most times the parish council, if the land you bought is too small, the parish council is going to object to that subdivision. So you might never be able to get a title. So maybe a very long answer, listener, but I want to be comprehensive in how I'm saying it to you. So I'm saying to you, do not buy land without a lawyer and get your own lawyer. Get a land lawyer who will ensure the lawyer will do the search at the titles office, make sure the person's title is legit. If the person doesn't have a title, then the lawyer has to do even more due diligence. And most times when persons are buying without a title, I say to them that the person who is selling at least make the application to the titles office and let the application be approved before you spend your hard-earned money. Because remember that the buying of land is going to be one of the biggest investment we will make in our lifetimes. It's much more expensive than a car, much more expensive than most of the things that we will do. But because of that, we need to be very, very careful. And I must apologize for my dog in the background. So I hope I've answered your question, listener in St. Anne. You're listening to Called Out Gospel Radio. Please remember you may send your questions to 876-5109. Sorry, 876-868-5109 or 876-535-8186. And you're listening to Called Out Gospel Radio operating outside of Ocherios in St. Anne. And the aim of this radio station is to impact the lives of our listeners positively so that our listeners can be well educated. As I always say, knowledge is power. And the aim is to give knowledge to our listeners so that they can impact not just their own lives, but the lives of others by being so knowledgeable. We can't have a first world country where persons don't have the basic knowledge. And that's the aim of this station, to give knowledge to our listeners. So, as I started earlier in the program, I've been looking at how to go about getting a title. And if you want me to get a title for you, please remember, just send me a WhatsApp message to 876-387-3183. And all you have to do is to say the word title. So just say the word just say the word title to 876-387-3183. Okay, and this other listener is asking at what point does the buyer go to the tax office? The buyer doesn't go to the tax office really, when you are buying land. Your lawyer will ensure that you have a title, and the lawyer will ensure that the taxes are paid up and the water. If there's water, taxes and water, those are the two things you ensure that those are paid. You don't have to insist that electricity is paid or telephone. But taxes and water, those two will run with the land. So when you have finished buying your property, your lawyer will give you a tax certificate showing that the taxes have been paid up to date. So every year after that, then when the taxes are due come March, April, then you pay again. But when you buy, you're going to get a clean tax paper. For example, we know that taxes are paid up now up to March 2026. So when you buy now, you're going to get a tax certificate showing that the taxes have been paid up to March 2026. So when the next year taxes come around, then you will go and pay. But what happens is that too many Jamaicans have this hang up about taxes. Remember, paying taxes will not make you own land. What we need to have the hang up about is title. Everybody come, Miss Brown, I come into the office because I want to be able to pay my tax. And I said to my listeners, if a fraud goes into the tax office, they will collect the tax from them. So it doesn't matter. Taxes, that's not what your emphasis should be. Your emphasis should be to get a title, because when you get a title, automatically your name will go on the tax roll. Because remember that paying taxes cannot make you own property. Okay, it's occupation that will ensure that you own property. So thank you again for that question. So I was looking again at getting title for your property. And remember, I started by saying that the first thing you need to do is to get the survey diagram. If you come into my office and you want me to get a title for you and you have a survey diagram, then I'm 50% already on my way in getting you a title. So I'm encouraging all the listeners, you have a little piece of land, maybe you have been living on it for some time, Your relative gave it to you, or you bought the little piece. The first thing I'm going to ask you to do is to survey. So please remember to keep your questions coming to 876-868-5109 or 876-535-8186. 876-535-8186 or 876-868-5109. And we want to encourage you to share the call number of the station. Let persons know that there is a station called Call Out Gospel, and let them know that there are so many offerings on this program that will help persons. You're listening to Land Matters. I'm attorney at law Gloria Brown, and I operate outside of Ocherios, the Jamaica National Building, upstairs Shop 6, as well as in Halfway Tree in Kingston. And we welcome your feedback. Remember the numbers you can send your text messages to 876-868-5109 or 876-535-8186. Or if you want me to get a title for you, just text the word title to 876-387-3183. So you have surveyed your property. What next? You have surveyed it. The surveyor will come. The surveyor will put some pegs on the ground to show your boundary, and you need to protect those pegs. In ancient times, persons would plant, certain trees there. Okay, like the immortal tree or some other tree. Some people would, different communities use different things in order to mark the boundary. Sometimes you could ask the surveyor, instead of putting just the steel peg, they could put a concrete monument. Okay, like a concrete post, so you know that's where the boundary, the different parts of the boundary. And we have some persons who like to move boundary posts, and the Bible speaks about that. So let persons know, let your relatives, let the younger generation know where the boundary is. And I'm talking as well to, especially to persons who are church members, persons who have church lands. Let the younger members of the church know where the boundary, where the boundary of the church land is, because a lot of persons see church land, see church people as weak fence. So they feel they can have the moving post. Okay, they feel they can keep moving the church pegs. Okay, so this year the mango tree was over the church line, and before you look, the mango tree is way into the neighbor's land. So these are things that you need to know. Let the next generation know what is happening, not just for the church land, but for your private land. So many times I get a little bit concerned when I see persons coming to my office and they're asking the younger generation, members of the younger generation who have accompanied them on the visit, to wait outside. Let them know what is happening. Another listener. What's the process for deed of gift, I think is what, as it pertains to tithing? Well, any gift of land must be in writing. So if you have what we call a deed of gift, to show that your mother gave you this piece of paper called a deed of gift, then it will help you when you're ready to get your title. But remember, you have to be careful about this deed of gift, because if the land has a title already, you really should not be getting a deed of gift, because you can't give a lesser title out of a better one. So you can't do a deed when the land is already titled. So if you have this document called a deed of gift, then yes, use it and move and start the process then of getting your title. So you survey and you have your deed of gift, or whatever document you have. Maybe you have an old will to show it was willed to you. Maybe you had bought it, so you have receipts. Maybe you have the old tax paper to show you have been paying taxes over the years. You have the old JPS bill or the old National Water Commission bill. Anything you have, bills, anything you have to support it, because after it is surveyed and you're coming to your lawyer to say, lawyer, I am ready to get my title. The lawyer is going to ask you for evidence of ownership. So don't throw away those old papers that you have to say they are taking up space, or don't let them get destroyed in the next hurricane season. Tie them up in a good Ziploc bag, okay, waterproof bag, and protect them. Take pictures of them on your phone and email them to the children or to the other relatives, so there's always an electronic copy of it. But protect the documentation. Have something to show. Remember the numbers to send your text messages: 876-868-5109 876-868-5109 or 876-535-8186. 876-535-8186. So you may send any message, a text message to me at 876-535-8186 or 876-868-5109. Anything non-related. So listener, why I'm telling you that okay, the deed of gift is good evidence to help you when you are about to get your title, one of your supporting documents. Or can a son or child add their name to title? What is the process? Well, I'm taking it for granted that the parent is alive and the parent wants to add the name. The first thing when adults come to me and say they want to add the names of their children to title, the first thing I ask if the child has property for themselves already. Because if they don't own property already, they could jeopardize their NHT benefits. So when a mother or a father should adds a child to the title, the housing trust is going to say that child owns property already. So when that child wants to go and buy the dream house and wants to get the 7.1 million from NHT, NHT might say that child owns property already. So think about it. Sometimes I say to the parents, okay, make a will instead of adding the children. So that's one consideration. But suppose the child has a property already or the child is abroad, then the parents could go to the lawyer and the lawyer will prepare the document to add the child to the title. And you can add any number of persons to your title. So you just go into your lawyer and the lawyer will deal with that for you. Do a transfer to add the child to the title. And make sure you have 5 children and you want the 5 of them to get it, don't just add one. Because I've seen so many instances where parents have added one child and now they want to add the others and this one child is not allowing them to. So if in doubt, don't say you're going to add one because that one will take care of the rest. It does not always happen. And if God forbid that one should die, it's going to go to that one's children and spouse alone. So if you have 5 children, you want the 5 of them to get the property, add the 5 of them or make a will and will it to the 5 of them. If a title was destroyed in a fire, the owner died, which is the mother. The husband is alive. How can he go about getting back one? Do any of the siblings has any say or assist in the process? So the title was destroyed in a fire, and the owner, which is the mother, died. So if the mother made a will, then they need to probate the will, and then the executor of the will, after getting probate, will do a lost title application. If the person did not make a will, then the husband will have to apply to administer the estate, and then the husband can do a lost title application to replace. The property is going to be owned by, is the husband who has to do this application. He's the one who has to administer because the husband is the next of kin. But the property will be owned. The husband will have to transfer the property half to himself and half to all the children of the mother. Okay, so the children, they don't have any right to override the husband. He has the right to deal with it, and he's going to get a half of the property, and the children share the other half, which means that the husband really should bear half of the cost, and the children should come together and bear the other half. I hope I've answered your question. So please remember, if you want me to assist you in getting a title, you may send a text message to 876-387-3183. That's if you want me to assist you in getting a title for your property. 876-387-3183 is the number if you want me to assist you. But if you want me to answer a question for you, please send your text message to 876-868-5109 or 876-535-8186. And you are listening to Called Out Gospel Radio. My name is Gloria Brown. I'm an attorney in Kingston and in Ocho Rios, Jamaica National Building in Ocho Rios, and you're listening to Called Out Gospel Radio. And the program is called Land Matters. And Called Out Gospel Radio, you can always join. Okay, you can always download the app, or you can join via the radio stream or on YouTube. There's a YouTube channel where you can even go back and look at the old programs that we have done before. This, I think, is probably my 4th program. You can go back and look at the other programs to see the other topics. But we invite you to tell someone about this radio station called Gospel Radio, which is impacting the lives of persons all over Jamaica and the world positively. Remember that we're on every Tuesday at 7:30 for just half an hour. I'm sorry, seem to have lost contact. Yes, we're on every Tuesday at 7:30 on Call Gospel Radio on Land Matters, and we welcome our listeners. Please remember you may send your messages to 876-868-5109. As the aim of this station is to really assist our listeners to improve their lives, improve their situations, and to have knowledge. The Bible tells us for lack of knowledge, the people perish. And this station aims to give us that knowledge. And today I started talking about how you go about getting your title. And I've said the first thing I want from you to do, I want you to do is to survey that little piece of the rock that you're trying to get a title for. So the parents have passed and they have willed the property or they have left, they give everybody a point finger piece. It wasn't surveyed, when they point the finger and say from there so to there, so from the ackee tree to the mango tree. I'm asking everybody on that land to survey their little piece so you have a title for yourself. So you can leave your piece to your children, or you want to borrow some money, you don't have to tie up the entire big title everybody's house. You can just tie up your little piece. So the child wants to get a student loan to become a lawyer or a teacher or a mechanic or a plumber. Then you can have your title where you can go to the PC bank or to NHD or to the commercial bank or the building society and borrow some money to improve the lot of your child. And that's the aim. That's one of the good things about a title. What if there's no will and both parents are dead? If there's a title and there's no will, the first thing I would want to know if the parents were joint tenants on the title. Because if they were joint tenants, then we would administer the estate of the one who died last. If there are tenants in common, we'd have to administer both estates. So you might have to give me a little bit more information next week. But if there's no will, if there's a will, we probate. If there's no will, we administer. And if there's a title and both parties were on it as joint tenants, then we would have to deal with the estate of the one who died last. If both of them are tenants in common, we'll deal with the estate of both. But the children are the ones who would have to apply to administer since the parents are dead. Okay, and you can as many as one of you can apply, but as many as four of you can apply if you want. So when you're applying to administer or to probate, four persons can apply. So that is what would be done. You apply to administer the estate, and then the property would be transferred to all the children of the one who died last if they are joint tenants. So it's only so, and remember the tenancy is written on the title. So look at the title, see if they are joint, if the parents were joint tenants or tenants in common. I don't know if there's a title for the land. But you said the title was destroyed, so there is a title. So you're going to look. Well, you said it was in mom's name alone. I'm sorry. So because it was in mom's name alone then, and dad has now died, then you're going to have to administer both estates because dad owned a half when he died. So two of the children, three of the children, or four of them, or even one can apply to administer and then do the sharing. I think I'm about completed my time for the program this evening. Time really flies fast on this program. And I have not been able to tell you most of what I wanted to talk to you about. But I thank you so much for your list, for your questions. Okay, I really appreciate the questions, and I will continue to answer as many as I see coming forward. Or you could just, hold your list, hold your questions until next week again. But remember that we are listening to Color Gospel Radio, which airs outside of Ocherios, and you can always join on YouTube. Okay, a listener does not understand joint tenancy or tenants in common. That's what I list. That's what the program was on. All of that was for program last week. So you could go onto the YouTube and maybe look at last week's program. But I will, if you send me the text again, I'll look back at it for you next week. But all of last week was just on tenancy alone, joint tenants in common. But I will review for you next week. So please just remind me. Thank you so much, listeners. Thank you, Cordo Gospel family. And we pray that God will continue to bless all of you. And we look forward to sharing again with you next week on Land Matters. Have a good evening.
Land, property, housing, whatever it is. And that's it. We give God thanks for what He is doing on this platform called our Gospel Radio. You see, so we cater for the holistic man. Yes, we care for the listeners in a holistic way, and we give the Lord praise for sending persons to educate us in the field that we are not so educated in. God is good, and we thank God for this program and the radio station. Amen. Cater for spiritual man, physical man, and all, as I said, care holistically for our listeners. All right, thank you for making it called Gospel Radio. God bless.